This is your captain speaking. Flight 527 ready for departure.
That's right, everybody. This is the August Power Platform Community Call for the month. My name is David Warren from Inquisitive, and I am so excited because we are live with the community, and we've got lots of amazing stuff to talk about together today. So let's get into it. The agenda, we're going to start with some community resources that are available to you absolutely free of charge. We're going to talk about community samples. We're going to hear about some Power Platform news and events, and then, of course, everybody's favorite time, picture time. So get those fantastic faces ready for the camera. And then we've got three amazing all-star presenters of the day. Paul's here. He's going to talk about how to use C# to build custom connectors easily with the help of GitHub Copilot. Craig is here. He's going to talk about clicks in delivered, how to send emails directly from Power Apps. And the one and only April Dunnam, she's going to talk to us about some very cool opportunities within the Power Platform Copilot prompts repo. So I can't wait to see all this stuff. But let's talk about those resources that are available to each and every one of you. We have Microsoft Community Learning videos, and this is our YouTube channel of the community. It's been renamed to the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but it is the same old YouTube channel that you know and love. Our calls are hosted there, and everything's available, plus more. So we'll talk about that today. You can go to ak.ms/community/YouTube, and you can subscribe. We've got our LinkedIn group for discussions that everybody can be part of. So please don't hesitate to take advantage of that. Maybe go sign up for the news because we always put all the new information there as well. And we'd love to have you be part of that. We've got our open source tooling initiatives that are available to everybody. So definitely check those out. And I mentioned those sample galleries. We have got a plethora of them because, you know, it means a lot to us. They're plethora. Yes, ak.ms/community/samples will actually take you to the global sample solution gallery, but we also have Power Platform samples and Power Platform prompts, which we'll hear a little bit more in our third demo today. And the great thing is you have to remember all these links, all of them, every single one of them. In fact, there'll be a test. I'm kidding. Nope, only one URL, ak.ms/community/home. That gives you access to all the beautiful resources that are available today. Now, I mentioned that new Microsoft Community Learning channel. Yes, it is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community. It is just renamed. You know Microsoft, they love to rename things. We're doing this to be a little bit more inclusive. There's actually a reason behind it, and that is so that other technologies can be part of our wonderful channel. So things like Copilot and Dynamics 365. We welcome all technologies. So we want to make sure that there's room for everyone. So definitely go check that out, ak.ms/community/YouTube. Now, as you're watching today, you may think, I'm really loving everything that's being shown. In fact, I might have some cool stuff to show and share with everyone. Although, I've never presented before, but that's okay because everyone is welcome to present. We invite anyone and everyone who has something cool. Maybe it's a demo of a sample. Maybe it's a cool technique or a function or perhaps a component or something like that that you've found how to make life easier using the technology that we love. We encourage, downright beg you to sign up for a demo. It's open to everyone. Just fill out the form, ak.ms/community/request/demo. The link's in the chat, and we'll get back to you and get you scheduled. And hey, if you need a buddy because you've never presented before, we got your back. We'll buddy up with you. We'll help you craft the presentation, and we'll even present together with you if you'd like that. But we know that you're going to enjoy your opportunity, so please take advantage of it. And don't overthink it. Doesn't need to be something that, you know, causes world peace or makes time travel possible. No flux capacitors required. Don't worry about it. All right. Let's talk about some Power Platform samples and badges today. So we've got one new sample from Gomo, image creator/generator. We all love to create those cool images. Well, he's got a Power Platform Power App that shows how to take advantage of that. So you can learn more about it at aka.ms/powerplatform-samples. And again, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to go learn a little bit more about the Power Platform and how it works. These samples are wonderful methods to learn and also to collaborate with others in the community. And by the way, we accept all contributions. And I know it uses GitHub, which can be a little, I don't know, confusing because it's that GitHub hubs, that hub of Gits. Well, guess what? We got you covered there too with Sharing is Caring. What is Sharing is Caring? It's a program that provides hands-on guidance, absolutely free. in a safe space environment. So what are all those fancy words meaning? It means that we're going to join a live Teams call together, and we are going to walk you through how to submit a PR or a pull request or a sample into GitHub. And we don't record it, so you're safe to ask any and all questions, never fearful of thinking, well, should I already know the answer to this? Does everybody else know the answer to this? And if I ask, it's going to get recorded. I've been there. I second guess myself all the time. So we don't want you to feel like that. We want you to feel safe and welcome. So we don't record them. We just had a Sharing is Caring session this last Monday. So we are getting the sessions scheduled out for September. So definitely be on the lookout for that. So yep, Sanford in the chat said he just had one earlier this week. And guess what? He got a badge. So opt in, keep an eye out, ak.ms/sharing is caring. We will tweet out and share on LinkedIn when we get that new schedule out as well. Whew. But once you do contribute, guess what? We are going to recognize you for the amazing work that you're doing using our community recognition program. So you can showcase your contributions in a formal and official way powered by Credly. These are accredited and official badges that are associated to your account, which you can put on your resume, you can put on your LinkedIn profile, you can put on your blog. They show that you are making a difference. And why does that matter? Well, if you work for anyone, you want to show your management that you're making a difference. Perhaps you're a consultant. You want to show your clients that you're a step ahead of your competitor. It's a great way to show that you're doing more in the community, and it's our way of giving back and saying thank you because we love you. Absolutely free, by the way, no cost to you, ak.ms/community/recognition. We do need you to opt in, and you'll be eligible for any and all badges in the future. We have, I think, well over 1,200 now in the program. So we look forward to that, seeing you in it. And, ooh, what are those? We've got some new badges that are coming out just now, and April's going to tell us more about them soon, so I don't want to steal the thunder, but be on the lookout. All right, let's get into some shows and events. We've got TechCon coming up in Dallas, so 2 of its events have already passed us by. Whew, the year's going fast. Seattle, DC, but Dallas is on the horizon. November is going to be here before we know it, so check out TechCon365.com. And of course, coming up next month, Power Platform Community Conference, right? We are excited for this. It is in Vegas again, September 18th through the 20th, with workshops on the 16th, 17th, and 21st. So I know April will be there, myself, Hugo Bernier will be there, Shane Young will be there, and so many others, many of who are on the call today will be there. So we'd love to see you. Definitely get signed up. Can't wait. And if you're looking for other community events, definitely check out ak.ms/community days. There are lots of community events that are coming up in the near future near you. Some are virtual, some are in person, some are hybrid. So go check that out at ak.ms/community days. We definitely want to collaborate with others in the community, and these are great ways. A lot of work goes into making these happen, so definitely support the community. All right, well, it is time for some news. So Shane couldn't be here today. He had a conflict, but he did want to share his notes from the field, which he said, look for the full field. Copilot, Power Pages, even SharePoint. What he said was, as tech continues to overlap, we should be well-versed. Be well-versed in multiple areas of tech and know where they overlap. Don't just focus in on one thing and get tunnel vision. You want to have a full landscape view of the entire field. So we look forward. Shane will be back with us next month. In fact, this call lands on the same week as the conference next month. So we're hoping to do it live for those that are in the conference. We'll, of course, have it virtual for everyone that's there. But for those that are at the conference, we're hoping to have an opportunity for you to attend. We've done that a few times in European Power Platform Conference and Power Platform Conference in Vegas and Florida. So it's a wonderful opportunity to be part of that experience. It doesn't happen all the time, so take advantage of it when you can. And we also have some news. The more you know. With April Dunnam, tell us about the news.
Thanks, David. We got a lot of news and new Learn documentation as well. So first, we have the Explore and Test Dataverse in Web API Playground. This is a new playground. It's an application that allows you to go and test and get familiar with the Dataverse Web API and access all the different endpoints without having to do all the setup and authentication, all of that. So really cool. Check it out. That is in preview right now. Other thing, PowerFX Copilot now supports multiple languages. So if you haven't already tried this to help generate, create, and explain PowerFX formulas, you can use it in a ton of different languages now. We can also call SQL Server stored procedures directly in PowerFX. That just went GA recently. So if you haven't tried that and you're using SQL in your Power Apps, definitely check that out. And on the Learn side, we have 3 new Learn modules here. We have one on extending Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 with Copilot Studio. Our own Daniel Laskowitz contributed some of the content for that. So if you want to do some extension there with Copilot Studio with Microsoft 365 Copilot, check that out. We have an add a custom Copilot to a Canvas app module here. We have a create a Copilot to help promote your podcast. Gomo created that. It's a really cool scenario with a ProDev story, how to integrate with Azure and Power Apps and custom connectors and AI and all of that. So really great learnings that you can go through and walk through to learn more about all of that. So that is it for the news section.
Woo, awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, what time is it? It is picture time. So get those cameras turned on if you'd like to be part of it. And I'm going to get Camtasia ready here. There we go. Excellent. Move that out of the way. And we will go into together mode and move that in. All right. Oh, look at all those wonderful people. I see Vessa's setting the example, starting out. Wonderful. I see some friends. Norm is here and Stephanie's here. Excellent. We got a little bit more room. Isabel's here. Wonderful. See Jeff up there. There's April. All right. Excellent. Steph's got her cat. Woo. All right. Let's kick this off. Oh, yeah. We're filling in. Nice. Excellent. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Wave to the community, everybody. Looking fantastic. Great to see you all. Such a wonderful, diverse community. Appreciate your support more than you can possibly imagine. Really love you all. Excellent. Excellent to see you here today. Really love it. Okay, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. And that is going to be with Paul. How do you C# to build custom connectors easily with the help of GitHub Copilot? Paul, feel free to take on over.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm just going to share my screen and I will try to do this as quickly as I can because we've got quite a bit to get through. So can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, this is me. If you want to see the links, please go ahead, but we're just going to move on. So developing C# connectors in Power Platform. This is a really powerful tool that not loads of people use. I haven't seen tons of people using it. So why? You can extend the functionality of the platform to include lots of things that sometimes I think should be there. Have you not tried it because you don't know C#? Well, I don't blame you. But in this demo, we are going to do it without, well, I'm going to try and do it without typing any C#. If I have to do a couple of lines, please forgive me, but I'm going to try and do it without doing any C#. If you don't know Swagger, which you will see in a moment, which is also essential to help define the API, don't worry, Copilot can help us with that as well. So what we are going to do as an example is build a custom connector that can provide us a sum function. There are things in Power Automate which you can use to sum numbers, but they are super slow. The standard method is super slow. And this is a really easy starting point for building a connector. Now, this is a frequent requirement. I have done a blog post on this a few years ago and a YouTube video. So you can see that that has had, it's attracted a lot of comments and views over the years, and lots of people have used the technique that I found. And the solution is okay, right? The solution I built is okay, but it's not simple. And so one person left a comment. I don't know how it works, but it reduced my flow run from 1 hour to just a few minutes. So somebody out there, probably lots of people, will have implemented this solution, but they don't know how it works. So maybe we can do something better. And this person down here says it's laughable that all this is necessary to make a sum. I kind of agree with that. Like when we first used Excel, probably the first thing we ever did was doing like an auto sum, and we were like, yeah, that's quite cool. And applied to each's in Power Automate tend to be quite slow and use a lot of API actions. So for example, if we want to sum 1,000 numbers, we're going to use at least 1,000 API actions. So this is what a sum would look like in Power Automate. Normally we would have a variable and we'll iterate over items and add them together. And this is what I put together, this XPath method. So it works fast, it's good, but it's complicated. Power Automate is a JSON orientated tool, and we're converting a whole bunch of numbers to XML to use an obscure summing function in the XPath function. So it's not really a nice solution. It works well, but it's just obscure. So there are some limitations when you build these custom connectors in C#. You can have only one script file, but that script file can support many operations. And as many operations really as you can fit into 1 megabyte of code. So a lot. Execution has to finish within 5 seconds. So this is a limiting factor, but you can get a lot done in 5 seconds. And I'll show you that hopefully in a minute if we get time. And the namespaces that you can use are limited to what you see on the screen right here. But you can do a lot with those as well. There's some really powerful stuff in there. So I think we're just going straight into the demo now. Now, Microsoft website has some functionality on how to do this, how to build this locally in Visual Studio, but it's not that easy to follow. If you click that link, you'll start off with the template that I'm going to use in this call. This makes things a lot easier. So we're going to start with this template, then we're going to make some small changes and let Copilot do the rest. We're going to create the sum function, we'll test it locally, and if we get time, we'll upload it to Power Platform and test it there. But sometimes when you upload the connector to Power Platform, it takes a while to kick in. So let's go. First of all, I'm going to go to Power Automate and show you something. So here's my custom connector that I've already built from the code in here. Now in here, there's only 3 files we need to worry about. Script.cs, which is the one that we are going to upload. Definition, which defines the shape. And our test operation, which allows us to test it locally. So the first thing we're going to do is this hello world. And Microsoft have a hello world as well, but this one does a little bit more, which is still not very interesting, but you will get the idea. So here's our custom connector, and I put in my name, Paul. So I'll just change that to David.
It's okay.
And then hit test. And
hold on.
That's just going to return hello David. So it's the YML file, the YAML file, the Swagger file that determines how this connector appears and what the outputs are and all those kinds of things. So hopefully this will run now, and the output isn't that interesting, but so it will just literally say hello David. Okay, it's going to do its thing now. Okay, so there's the output, hello David. And if I edit that, get rid of that from the compose, we can see there's the greeting response there. So if we flip back to the code, the important part in this script.cs is this concept of an operation ID. And over here in our test, we are sending an operation ID with it. Our operation ID is hello world. Here's our script. And in the case when the operation ID is hello world, then it will run this hello world function, and it will try to grab the value name from the payload, which is a requirement as defined in the Swagger, and it will just return back response hello name. So while David was introducing us, I asked Copilot, I haven't pressed return yet. I said, please create another function like hello world, but instead of a value called name, it will receive a JSON array of numbers. Call the function aggregate, and the purpose of this function is to sum the incoming list of numbers and return the total. So let's just see what it comes up with. And I will say, so we need to do a couple of things. We need to have our function. Now it's done the right thing for us. So it's just remade. It's going to ask it was, please add this aggregate section. So let's have a look at, you know what, let's just copy the whole thing in. Let's just assume that it's worked. So it's from there. Hopefully, I'm going to get away with my objective of not writing any C#. I just want to point out at the top, you'll see that I've got lots of usings that are grayed out. You won't need all of these. you could delete these lines. This is just for things I've written where I've used those tools. So will it compile? I don't think so actually, but I'm also going to say, so I've got this test operation function, but I'm going to say, please modify hash test operation.cs to what did I call it? Aggregate. Okay, so I have said, please modify test operation.cs to allow me to test the new function aggregate in script.cs. Please create a separate function to create the payload. And it looks like it's done all right here. Okay, it has. So the first thing we need to do is come over here and we're going to have another case statement here, which is our aggregate. So I'll stick that in there. And our little menu is going to change as well. Stick that line in. So this is so we can test it locally, and you really do need to test it locally instead of in the cloud, because you will need a few iterations to get these things right. And so here's our aggregate method. So let's grab that. Put that in there, and it's suggested an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's try and run it. I think we're going to get an error here, but we'll see. Maybe not. Okay, so here's our hello world, which we saw before. I'll run that quickly, and you can see it just returns the JSON response hello pool. And then if I run it again, oh, yeah. JSON deserialize object. Bring. Gone wrong. There we go. I can see it. So, nice thing, right? You don't really need to know what's going on. Please modify the in hash. So you can type hash to specify a file. So that looks for the incoming numbers in. JSON. It was just going to grab numbers from the body, which we didn't provide. We put it in a property called numbers. So it should now modify it to, yeah, now you can see it's trying to get the value numbers there. So that should work now. So let's grab that. And we'll replace this aggregate function. Okay. Should be okay. Let's see. Okay, so it has returned sum of 15. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out in Power Automate was if we go back to the run history of this, one of the things that I put into the template script is a timer, which you can see is the very first thing that happens here as stopwatch begins. So what you can execute on your own local machine in 5 seconds is going to be a hell of a lot more than you can execute in the cloud in 5 seconds, because you'll have a lot more resources available. So if I take this returns a greeting and say show raw outputs, you will see there is an x-processing time header added to the output. And this hello David took 4 milliseconds. And you have got 5,000 milliseconds to play with. So as long as you've got some headroom above and no 4,000, you should be all right. So we have now our function working, and it returns the sum of any numbers that we send to it. And we didn't write any C# at all. So to make this work in Power Automate or Power Platform generally, we need to do a little bit more. So we're back over to our YAML. I've got 1 minute left, so hopefully we can get it to do that. So I'm going to say, given the new function in script.cs called aggregate, can you provide a new Swagger definition so that the function can be called? And this will generate this Swagger response that we need to paste into here to then upload to Power Platform, and then that is our custom connector made. It's actually given it back slightly in the wrong format, but it will still work. So we can find here our aggregate, and you can see the post is aggregate operation. It didn't add some of the nice things in, but it's got the important stuff. Aggregate consumes application JSON, returns JSON. The description is the numbers array, which is what we'd see in Power Automate. And it will accept an array of numbers as integers, and we could change that so it would accept numbers of any type. So I have got 30 seconds left. Does it make sense? And have you got any questions? We don't have time to put it into Power Platform because that would take a few more minutes than we've got.
Yeah, I mean, this is extremely awesome, Paul. I think that we could always have you back as a part two, and have you show integrating it into the Power Platform. I think that would be great. Obviously, any questions you've got, everybody, put it into the chat there because we don't have time, obviously, to take them live. But I think, Paul, and Craig, if you want to start queuing up your presentation, that's okay. I think what Paul really is showing off here is amazing because it's using code, which is not always the most favorite thing for Power Platform folks, and that's okay, but it's a great opportunity to learn, right? I think that as we start getting into those more advanced techniques, there are times where utilizing some of those tools become necessary, and it's a great opportunity to use Copilot to learn. What Paul could have also done, in addition to asking it to give him stuff, which is what he did, he could have asked it to explain what it gave him, which I think is also a value add that maybe sometimes we forget to do, and say, hey, Copilot, talk to Copilot about what Copilot wants and needs and what it's doing. You'd be surprised what it gives back to you and recommendations it makes on how to best interact with it. So very, very cool stuff, Paul. Thank you again, everybody. This is Paul's first demo on the call. He's a well-done presenter, but his first time on the call today, so show him a little extra love. We love new first-time presenters, so thank you, Paul. And he's on vacation, everybody, so that's dedication to the community, so really got to love that. All right, let's move on to our next presenter. Thank you, Paul. Craig is here. Click Send Delivered. How to send emails directly from Power Apps. Craig, take it away.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay and see my screen and all that lovely stuff?
Yep.
Fantastic. Cool. So, yeah, thanks for the intro, David. Glad to be here again. We're going to talk about sending emails directly from Power Apps. Probably slightly a bit sort of dumbed down from Paul's excellent demo, but hopefully some cool tips to kind of work around on this one. Quick intro to me. I'm Craig. I'm from the UK. I work for a Microsoft partner over here called ALS. I've been a Microsoft MVP now since January, so quite a while, I guess. And I mostly blog at platformsofpower.net. When I'm not doing stuff in the community or working, I'm generally just hanging out with my family or building Lego. So yeah, that's pretty much me. The agenda for today is largely influenced by a conversation I had with a few friends not so long back, that they built a lot of flows sending emails in Power Automate, but have never done it in Power Apps or tried but failed with some of the connectivity or some of the settings. So I thought, well, that's a good excuse for a bit of content. So we're going to take the Office 365 Outlook connector and the send email v2 action that we can see on the left, and we're going to go through all the mandatory and optional properties, but in PowerFX, how to do it all in Power Apps. I'm running this today for an admin account. You don't need admin access to send emails from Power Apps, but I need to show you a little bit of Purview and a Microsoft 365 admin for some of the settings. So it's just easy to just kind of use one account. Right, so I'm going to dive in, really, really simple, and then kind of layer it up as we go. So the bare essentials we need to send an email from Power Apps for PowerFX is who we're sending it to, an email address, the subject title, and the body, in that order. So very, very simple to absolutely get started right away. It's hard code. Lovely job. Here's my email, subject title, and body. What if we wanted to send multiple emails from PowerFX? Well, again, we can list out the individual email addresses so long as we put a semicolon in after each email address. Again, it will send that email to multiple people. So that's fine. Really easy to get started. You just need the connector, the V2 action, and then those properties in that order. Those are the three mandatory fields that you need to get started. Well, what if we kind of want to level it up a little bit? Let's say we want our users to build an email in the app to then send. Maybe we don't want to use hard-coded emails. Maybe it might be different depending on the scenario. So there's a couple of little bits we can do with that. There's lots of different ways you can get dynamic email addresses into an app. It could be with filters or lookups to lists or collections. I'm going to just opt for a combo box here. And in the combo box, to set the items property to the Office 365 users connector. And just doing a bit of a lookup. So I want to find users on my directory. So I need to look for me. And I need to look for the account that I'm running this in. So there we go. We've got our users. But they are the names of the users, not the email addresses. So what can we do there? We can see the first line of our syntax. We're going to go and do a concat function. So we're going to take the combo box. We are going to take the selected items from that combo box. It's the two people we selected. Find their email address. And then add a semicolon onto the end of each one. As per the previous example, we need that if we've got multiple addresses. We can also use a rich text box, a text input box for the subject title, which is what we've got here, and a rich text box for the body. Now you can use a text input control for the body, and you can set the text property to multiple, and it looks nice in the app when you type in. It's got spaces, but when you send it, it comes out all flat and a bit rubbish in the Outlook side. So rich text editor control is the way forward. If you want people to type with a nice bit of formatting, line spaces, everything else, and we want to point to the HTML text property of that specific control. So if we run that, hopefully we get a nice email up here, happy days, say, look, there's the people that we've chosen. Here's our nice email body, all the formatting in place, happy days. What if we want to go a step further and say, well, actually, what if we can construct an email without the user having to put any information in? Maybe we can kind of configure some stuff to run during an on-select or an on-success. So what I've done here for the body is just kind of join together a little bit of HTML. Very, very basic. I'm not the best HTML person in the world, so don't ask me any additional questions, but it's a very, very simple structure of taking some HTML, but concatenating some dynamic information from our app. So we can see txt subject.text. That's our bit of text up here. And basically, I want that in an email body. I want to make it bold, which is why we've got the strong tags. I want to color it green. And I want to sign off this email nice and professionally by saying thanks or regards, a line break, and then get the name of the logged on user, because that's how we typically sign off an email. So let's see what that looks like. Hope that comes across nicely. There we go. So again, here we go. Again, it's picked up the dynamic references. It's taken that content and formatted it as expected, and it's dynamically picked up the logged on user to sign that email off in a professional way. Happy days. And that's kind of like the main bits. Your subject title and your body. And there's loads more you can do with that, injecting tables or other ways you can kind of get the user information. But those are the three essential bits you need to get started. We're now going to dive into some of the sort of optional properties, if you like. I'm going to start with CC and BCC. I think we've all been around long enough using emails to know how these work, so I'm not going to kind of demo this one, but you can use one or both properties if you need to CC any additional email addresses in. And again, these could be hard-coded or taken from other sources, but the options are there if you want to use them. You just need to start with some additional curly brackets and then pick one of the selected properties. Start typing in CC or BCC, and then it will give the option to start configuring. We can do importance as well. So you might see emails come across of high or low importance. Normally in Outlook, we can do the same thing in the Power Platform as well. You can opt to have importance of normal, but that's the default of an email in any kind of email client, really. So you only really need this additional part of the syntax if you want to overstate or understate an email. So importance equals high or importance equals low. And again, that will come over as expected, either for low with the downwards blue arrow, or we've got the red exclamation mark if it's going to be high importance. Very, very simple to set up, very, very easy to use. The next one, just to touch on, will be the reply to property. So typically when we get an email from someone, when we click the reply button, it's going to start drafting a reply to whoever sent us that email. But maybe we want to funnel replies to these comms from the app into a central mailbox, for example. So we could potentially look to hard code or dynamically get in another email address into this particular property. So if people do reply to the comms, it's going to that central mailbox. It's important to note at this stage that you do not need any special permissions to the mailbox you're specifying in reply to. You can put any old email address on your domain or even in a different domain if you really want to. Now, I state the permission side of things because for the next property is the from property where we do need some additional configuration, and we walk through that in a second. So if I want to send an email on behalf of or as another account, I need permissions in Microsoft 365 admin to actually do that. If I haven't got those permissions, I will get an error when I'm trying to send an email from another account where I haven't got access. It says I'm not authorized to send emails on behalf of that account. Okay, so how do I get access? Well, if you've got access to Microsoft 365 admin, you can do it yourself. If not, you might have to speak to the person who does. But essentially in M365 admin, we can go to users, active users, find the account we want to send emails as or on behalf of, click on the mail property, and we've got these options here: send as permissions or on behalf of. And we can add the individual users in there to give permissions to send on behalf or as these other accounts. You can do the same thing with shared mailboxes. That's also in here. Teams and groups, shared mailboxes, same process. So let's have a look at how that works. So we can see from our mailbox and demos at the moment, we've got emails from Ecosystem Admin, which is my current account, but actually we're now sending this as another account and we can see the no reply. So we know that that's worked and we've got permissions. So that's that one. Happy days. Attachments. This is, I don't know if it's a little bit hacky, and if there's a better way, someone please do shout in the chat. But essentially to get the attachments control, I've added a Dataverse table. You can also add a SharePoint list, that's not a problem. Added a form control, cleaned everything out apart from the attachments, just so I can attach a couple of files and then use the syntax you can see on screen to send an email with attachments. So if I go and attach a couple of files, and I've got some images of these two handsome young rogues here, let's add them in. And as part of the code here, we're going to go for every attachment in the attachments control, get the content, get the file name, and attach them to the email I'm just about to send. Hopefully that will come over. There we go, send email of attachments, and we've got those two images attached. Happy days. The final setting to go over is sensitivity. So if you have started, you may have started running organizations, or you may be about to start to look at sensitivity labels across your wider Microsoft 365 ecosystem. These can be applied to documents, emails. These can determine all sorts of different rules, whether you can forward, whether you can download, all sorts of different stuff. And I think people are starting to get into these a little bit more to start securing their data in terms of Copilot usage behind the scenes. We can apply a sensitivity label to our emails and Power Apps as well. But we've got this weird little ID on screen, and what the hell is that, and how do we get it? Well, this requires a bit of access to Purview. So if we go into Purview and we look at information protection and then sensitivity labels and select the relevant label we need, you can see we've got the ID here. This is the bit of text we need to copy and stick into our code in between speech marks to be able to send with the sensitivity label. If you don't have access to Purview, then the irony, go into Power Automate and set up the email action and add the advanced parameter for sensitivity, and you will see a nice friendly list of all of your relevant sensitivity labels that you can pick from. When you save the flow, it will actually convert it to the underlying ID, which again is what we need for our syntax. If for whatever reason that doesn't work, then you can run the flow as a test, and in the inputs you have email message sensitivity, and again you've got the relevant ID of the sensitivity label there, which you can then plug into your PowerFX. So again, if we click on that, you'll notice from the previous examples here we haven't got any sensitivity labeling going on. The one that we're using highly confidential all employees, and that particular sensitivity label also has a mandatory footer applied. So again, if we use the right ID, we'll get the right properties that are configured in that sensitivity label, and it will come out through the outputs. And that's it. That's going for all the properties. Very, very simple. And yes, you can absolutely combine any or all of these together in terms of dynamic bodies with information, attachments, BCC, CC, reply tos, anything that kind of suits for your particular requirements. Hopefully we'll get a nice email just at the end to sort of showcase everything. So yeah, we've got from a different address, we've got a sensitivity label, we've got our attachments, we've got a nicely formatted body, we've got dynamic information. So yeah, you can kind of munge all these together to work out which ones you do and don't need based on those requirements. Very, very simple stuff, but hopefully very, very effective. And even some of that sensitivity trick or the reply to trick could be potentially even be useful from a Power Automate perspective as well. So yeah, that's me. Very simple stuff. If you want to connect, feel free to. And yeah, I've gone pretty quick in some of this stuff. If you want to digest it in your own time, feel free to head over to my blog, find that article, and you've got a whole bunch of scenarios and bits of code to nick. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Awesome stuff, Craig. This is absolutely legend. I hope you're not lactose intolerant dairy. Very, very cool. Love it, love it, love it. I got to try it out just so that I can get an email from Batman, right? I want to be on the phone with my boss and be like, oh, sorry, I just got an email from Batman, so I'm going to need to put you on hold and answer that. Really cool stuff. We put the link to the blog post in the chat. We'll put it in the show notes, and we'll see if we can maybe sweet talk Craig into putting that up into our Power Apps samples repo. It would be really cool to have everybody be able to access that and try it out themselves. So, Craig, excellent as always. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move into our final presentation of the day. The one and only April Dunnam is going to talk to us about our Power Platform Copilot prompts, repos, and opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And great demo, Craig. Always love when people demo Power Apps stuff fully in Power Apps. That's a really cool app. Cool. So I'm going to talk about prompting your way to power and just everything that we can do with prompts and all that. So let's just dive right in and talk a little bit about prompts in general, what they are, and what we can do with them. So a prompt is just a set of instructions that are sent to generative AI models so that we can accomplish certain tasks. So anytime that we're using any of these generative AI models, we have to put in a prompt to be able to get what we want out of it. So really that goes into the aspect of prompt engineering, where natural language and how we communicate is kind of becoming the new programming language in a way. So it can be really powerful to help us create solutions. So I wanted to just level set the fundamentals of creating a prompt and the things that we should consider when we're crafting these prompts. So we have task, context, expectations, and output. So an example of a prompt a well-written prompt should have all of these aspects in it. So this kind of highlights kind of the flow, the formula that we have here for crafting a prompt. So starting out with the task. So create a product feedback summary. Then giving it some additional context based on recent customer reviews. And this is where you might pass in some dynamic context here. Then we need to level set with the expectations. So the summary should identify key themes, overall sentiment, and any recurring issues or praises. And finally, we can tweak the output and kind of specify how we want the data to be outputted. So we can say format this to be clear and concise and present any information in an easy to understand manner suitable for a marketing team meeting. So that's where you can really define how you want the output to be. You can also format if you want it to be outputted in, say, JSON or CSV or those kind of specifications as well. So if you follow this kind of formula here, then you can kind of be ensured that you have a well-crafted prompt. And if you want more information, all of this is kind of taken from the AI Builder Prompt Engineering Guide. So this is applicable not only to prompts that you're creating in AI Builder, but prompts for any of the copilots that you're using here, Microsoft 365 Copilot, or any of the AI tools, really. This will kind of ensure that you have a well-crafted prompt. And you can go to aka.ms/prompt guide if you want to learn more about all of that. But let's talk about where do we actually use these prompts in the Power Platform. So we can use these all across the Power Platform here to build solutions. So we have Copilot experiences in Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, Copilot Studio to be able to take a prompt and get to a solution really fast with all of this. But we also have that in AI Builder. So there is a model specifically for AI Builder for interacting with generative AI. So there's a create text text with GPT model, where we can pass in and create AI prompts that go and call these large language models and do all sorts of things, creating text, summarizing text, and all of this kind of stuff that we can do. And, one of the hardest things with this is just even knowing what you can do with it. A few things with AI prompts, if you haven't looked at them recently, and this model that we can do, we have GPT 4.0 support. So that just went in preview. So if you want to be able to take advantage of the latest and greatest model there, we can do that with these AI prompts. We also have capability to format the output. So before we could only have that as text. Now it can actually get a JSON response output natively by toggling on the output here. So that's something that is in preview as well for AI prompts and AI Builder. And the other new thing is we have grounding. So before we can, it was really hard to kind of pass in any data or do any kind of grounding because we didn't really have a mechanism with AI Builder prompts. Now we do. Now we can reference Dataverse tables directly in the prompt that we're building to get those more tailored responses and reference our business data. So these are all the possibilities here. Now let's kind of talk about what if we don't know what we can even do and where to start? Because, having that blank text box there, there's so many possibilities. So where can we get some ideas of things that we could do? Well, that's what the prompt library is for. We have prompts from the community and from myself and other team members that are already in there that you can go and look at to see what are some things we can do with the GPT model in AI Builder, and Copilot and Power Apps and Power Automate, Power Pages, and Copilot Studio. So if you want to get some ideas, we have an easy way to browse it here in the sample solution gallery. And if you want to contribute as well, you can go to the Power Platform-prompts, and that takes you directly to the GitHub repo where you can share your own prompts. So I figured let's walk through a demo. We'll highlight some of the prompts that are out there and just show you how quickly you can prompt like a pro and get started with the prompt library building some Power Platform solutions. So let's take a look at the repo. So again, this right here, if you go to power-prompts, aka.ms, this will take you to the solution gallery where you can just browse all the prompts that we have here so you can see some of the latest ones that we have. So one right here that I figured I'd show is this course registration app. So this is also on GitHub. So Scott actually created this one. This will allow us to use the new capability in Power Apps where we can create a multi-table application. So the cool thing about this all is these prompts are tested. So we make sure that we run through them and that they get the output that we want. So I can go and copy this prompt right here. And we can go over to Power Apps. So if you have the new, let me just backtrack one. If you want to have this multi-table experience that's in preview, you can toggle this try new data experience on in the upper right-hand corner of make.powerapps.com. And then now if we go to start with data, we'll see this new option here, this new screen to create new tables. And this is where we can go start with Copilot and we can put in a prompt here. So I could put in the prompt that we got from Scott's sample. In the repo, and that will go and create and suggest a data structure to handle this. And you'll notice if we look at his prompt, is create an app to manage student course registration, including students, courses, registrations, instructors, and departments. So being really specific on what you want. So you could have left it as create an app to manage student course registration and just kind of have it go at it. But if you know right off the bat the different things that you want out of the prompt and the things that you want to manage, you can go ahead and specify those to make sure that you're kind of getting what you want. And if for those of you who might have not seen this yet, this is that new multi-table app experience that we have in Power Apps to be able to create this. So we have an entity relationship diagram that we can go modify. So it's created relationships for us, say between the course and the department and the instructor and the student, all of that without us having to do anything. So we have a complete data structure. We can look at the data and each one of these tables is created. And it's not only created the tables and the relationships, but all of the columns of the tables for us as well, just by that one single prompt that we got from the prompt library. And it's created sample data. So we can have a fully functional application, Canvas app in this case, for us just by using that prompt. So now we can save and open the app, and that will go and create all of these underlying tables, which are Dataverse tables, and create a Canvas application for us. So it'll have a main screen there where we can kind of browse across the different tables, and then the typical screen that we're used to seeing where we have galleries on the left-hand side and a form control on the right where we can kind of edit the data. And some of the things that I didn't really show there, and I think I have a new tab open that we can also do in this new experience, if we go to View Prompts, If we have existing data that we're starting from, we can right here in this experience import data from Excel or CSV or SharePoint lists and import that into this Dataverse structure and have that be a part of this entity relationship diagram. And we can change, we can delete, we can have it suggest more things if we're not sure what else that we need here. We can do all of this right from here from this Copilot experience. So now this is going to go and create the application, and this is usually the part that takes the longest here is just creating, because it's, we have what, 4 or 5 different tables there that's creating for us, and it's creating an app. The other cool thing about the app it creates is responsive out of the box, so we don't have to do anything else. It utilizes containers and all of that for us, so we have a nice responsive app for us from using this prompt. And there you go. It's getting there. It's loading. almost there. An export button would be cool. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments here. Yeah, we need to tell the team to export that to Visio so we can see that diagram. Yeah, gotta love it. Loading. So that's one example here, and I can come back to this once it's finally loaded. But while we're waiting for that to load, let's just take a look at the GitHub side of the prompts library so we can see kind of how it's organized. So as we mentioned, we have AI Builder, Copilot Studio, Power Apps, prompts, and everything. So everything's in its own folder. So if we go into Copilot Studio here, the next thing while that's loading that I wanted to show is we have this project brief creator topic. So this is an example of a prompt for Copilot Studio. So one of the things we can do in Copilot Studio is create a topic from a prompt. So this one will kind of guide a user through being able to draft a project brief. So I'm going to copy that. And there we go. And before we move on, now we can finally see the output of that prompt, that Power Apps prompt that we have. So here's a landing screen that we have with all of those different tables outlined here. And we can go into, say, the courses. And now we have that screen where we can see all the sample data with the courses there and be able to add and edit courses and with all of our tables. So we have a home screen. You'll notice also this little offline button. So when you use this experience, it's automatically enabling the Canvas mobile offline capability for you. So this is an offline capable app too, which is really cool. So again, it shows you how one simple prompt can get you to a working solution within just a couple of minutes there. So let's segue over to Copilot Studio like I was talking about. So I'm going to take this prompt that Renato just submitted 2 days ago, and we'll see how we can get Copilot Studio topic to help us with this project brief. So we're going to go over in this Copilot to topics, and we'll say add a new topic from a description with Copilot. So I can put in his prompt there, and I can say project brief for the topic name. So what he's asking it to do is to assist in creating a project brief by providing them the name, objective, deliverable scopes, timeline, stakeholders, everything that you would want in a project brief here. And it's going to go to work and create all of the different elements in this topic that we would need to be able to collect that information. So as you see, it's kind of going and adding stuff as I scroll down. So we can have several different questions here. So not only did that fill in the description of what this topic does, but it filled in all the questions that we need to get this information from the user. So the name of the project, the objective, scope, key deliverables, timeline, all of that. And then it puts that in a message with an output so we can copy and paste that, say, into a doc. Or we can even add some Power Automate into this that automatically creates a doc based off of this project information that we're tracking here. So another great example of how we can quickly get to value with a prompt from that repo. Now for the last thing that I want to show here, just AI Builder and how we can use some of those prompts. So if we look in the repo here, we have an AI Builder section, and we have tons of different prompts here. So one of the ones that I have is, say, this IT expert. So it can kind of help troubleshoot issues. So I want it to be able to user put in an issue here, and then we're going to have it do a bullet point list of steps that they can troubleshoot the issue for. So for this, we can build these prompts directly in the AI prompt section here. So I can see we have this IT troubleshooter prompt, and this is where we can put in some dynamic content here. So we can have multiple inputs that we pass into our prompt, and we can use these in apps and in our automations as well. And these are some of the settings I was talking about as far as output and if you want to use the GPT-4o model. But an example of this I could show really quick is using this in a Power App. So you can add in any of those AI prompts that you create from the prompt library or on your own as a data source. So if you just go to add data, we have this AI model section right here. And all of the models and all the prompts that you create show up here. So you just click and add that as a data source, and we can call it, say from this button, just by referencing the name of the prompt and passing in any required data. So I'm going to pass in this case, the value of this text input. So if I were to try this out, I can say, what issue are you facing? I can say my laptop has a blue screen, help, right? And we could submit that, and it will go and call that AI prompt, pass our input into that, and get you some information there. And sometimes I got to be a little bit more specific. There you go. So there's our step-by-step guide. So, restart your laptop. That's always the issue, right? Have you tried plugging it in and restarting it? Boot in safe mode, system restore. So now we have all the steps that we need to be able to try to troubleshoot this issue on your own before you go and actually submit the ticket to the help desk. So that's just an example of a simple AI prompt that you can go plug and play into your solutions. Now that we've seen the power of all of this, what's the benefit from you for using the library? Well, as David alluded to earlier, we have new badges for this. So we really highly encourage you. I think prompts are a great way to quickly get to value in the Power Platform, building solutions and extending your solutions like we just saw with AI Builder prompts, to be able to build those solutions. And a lot of times people just don't know where to start or what you can even do with this. So if you are using any of the Copilot capability, if you're using prompts and you have something that you'd like to share with the community, you can go submit it to the repo there and get some of these special badges. So for September, we have Promptember. October, we have Promptober. Those are only for your contributions for that month. And then we have the Prompt Pro badge as well that you can get anytime that you submit a prompt. So lots of opportunities to get some badges to show your Prompt Pro expertise and share that with the community so that we can all benefit from this and get solutions built faster. So I hope you take advantage of that, and thank you all, and hope to see more prompts soon.
Woo! I love what you did there. Fall into prompts. It's very appropriate and perfectly timed. Thank you, April. Awesome stuff. Yeah, everybody, just remember to get opted into the recognition program. aka.ms/community/recognition gives you access to all of the badges that we're creating. We got even more coming up in the rest of the year. Things like Season of Getting is coming back, and Slice of Samples, all those things. So thank you, April, for coming and sharing that with us. Really, really cool stuff, everybody. And sometimes that landscape can be overwhelmingly open, meaning that, oh my goodness, I can ask Copilot to do anything. I don't know what to ask Copilot to do. And so these are wonderful opportunities to kind of see how you can do it. Gets that brain churning and thinking about things, and then you create your own, and we want you to submit. And of course, if you don't know how, sharing is caring is there for you. So definitely lots of opportunities to get involved in the community. All right. Well, again, thank you, Paul and Craig and April. You are all amazing. Really appreciate everything that you're doing within the community and taking the time out to share with everyone your passions. We would not be here without all of you. So what are some resources? We have got some amazing opportunities for you to interact with the community. We've got our videos, our samples, our community front door. Of course, all of the forums are available for Power Apps and Automating Pages and all the others. So please don't hesitate to take advantage of those. We also have our other community calls, so don't forget our Tuesday calls. That is on a summer break, but it is coming back in little less than 2 weeks. It is back on the 3rd of September. Those are calls directly from Microsoft presenters, so those product managers and program managers. It's a great way to see insights into what's coming up. Power Platform, of course, you're on. We've got our Office add-ins, and of course, our sibling Microsoft 365 and Power Platform development bi-weekly call, and our Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. Tomorrow is our Viva Connections SharePoint Framework with Hugo Bernier talking about AI. And Chris Kent will be there, Mr. Horse himself, showing us something cool in SPFX. So get all these on your invite, or on your calendars. ak.ms/community/calls will let you get access to that. If you want to see the agendas, you can see that at ak.ms/community/meetup. We also have our Discord server, so if you want to be part of the cool kids and show your kids that you are cool as well because you're in a Discord server, you're talking about all Discord-y stuff, impress them by going and joining our Discord, ak.ms/community/discord. We've got over, I believe, 2,200 friends in the community joining now, so you could be next. We really would appreciate any support you've got. Get there by going to ak.ms/community/discord. And then, of course, we'd love to hear any feedback, even if things are still going well and you like the calls. Please let us know. Even if you've provided that already, continues to let everyone that helps support these calls know how we can better improve them. ak.ms/community/call/feedback. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. Go to ak.ms/community/YouTube and subscribe. If you're within the Teams channel and you see the video is ready for download, it's a pretty little liar because unless you're in that tenant, it's not going to give you access. So the best way is going and subscribing to that channel and saying, tell me when everything new is dropped. And that way you'll be alerted as soon as it's available. You can also follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're going to call it next at M365PNP. Get the updates as well at LinkedIn, ak.ms/community/LI. Our next call, again, September 18th. That will be live from the conference, Power Platform Community Conference. Hopefully we'll have a room, but we'll update everybody in advance. So if you're going to be attending that and we get a room, we'd love to hear from you if you're interested in presenting a demo. So let me know in advance. Would love to hear from you if you're interested in that. You can get all of this at ak.ms/Power Platform Community Call. Have a wonderful rest of your week, a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you for all that you're doing in the community. We are always amazed and inspired by the work that you're doing. So we love you. We can't tell you how much we appreciate everything you're doing. Keep it up. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Woo!